We've been on an exciting journey here at Gold Hill as we've explored what God is saying to us throughout the whole of the Old Testament. Each Sunday, we've taken each of the Old Testament books in turn and allowed them to speak to us. Next Sunday, we'll be looking at the book of Proverbs. You can find all the materials at goldhill.org/Proverbs. A proverb is defined in the dictionary as a short, memorable, and often highly condensed saying embodying, especially with bold imagery, some commonplace fact of experience. For example, a stitch in time saves 9, or a rolling stone gathers no moss. And by and large, that's what the book of Proverbs contains, sayings that, on the face of it, seem obvious to everyone. For example, it says poverty is the ruin of the poor, and a happy heart makes the face cheerful, and so on. Some of the proverbs in the book of Proverbs have actually found their way into our language. For example, spare the rod and spoil the child, and pride goes before the fall, and iron sharpens iron. You see, the book of Proverbs describes life as it really is. It's not about life in the church and what we might do on a Sunday. It's about our sleeping, eating, going to work and walking around Monday to Saturday life. It covers most of life's important aspects, often presenting them as contrasts. For example, wisdom and folly, pride and humility, love and lust, wealth and poverty, work and leisure, masters and servants, husbands and wives, friends and relatives, and life and death. It doesn't have a lot to say about religious things, for it totally obliterates the heresy that life can be divided into sacred and secular. The Bible clearly endorses the fact that any activity that can be devoted to God is sacred. So, why is the book of Proverbs in the Bible? Actually, at the beginning of the book, it tells us why it was written. That learning from Proverbs will lead us to wisdom, and that the very first step in becoming wise is to fear God, not in some cringing, terrified way, but in recognizing who He is and how He acts and what He wants. So, we need to ask Him to help us learn how to handle the life issues that confront us so that we can please Him and find fulfillment and contentment in our own living. You see, so often in church we spend so much time concentrating on what we are saved from that we actually neglect and ultimately forget what we are saved to and what we're saved for. Solomon is the man God used to give us the book of Proverbs. And as he stood at the threshold of becoming king of Israel, he was overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. And God met him in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon asked for a discerning and hearing heart. And this is how God responded. "I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be, if you walk in my ways and obey my statutes and commands." We must conclude, however, that Solomon didn't always walk in God's ways and obey His statutes and commands, and consequently behaved foolishly rather than wisely. However, Solomon did demonstrate wisdom that couldn't be explained in human terms, so much so that the Queen of Sheba made a long journey, not just to see his wealth, but to hear his wisdom. Last week, we looked so refreshingly at the Song of Solomon, describing the deep, intimate, abandoned love between a man and a woman. The Song of Solomon is a book of the heart. The book of Proverbs, however, is much more a book of the will. It's about choices that we have to make. And with choices come challenges. And our will is called into action as we make decisions and act upon them. The book of Proverbs depicts wisdom and folly in the realm of moral choices rather than mental choices. We live in a culture that speaks of fools as those who are lacking in intelligence and have a low IQ. But a person who's highly intelligent can behave in very foolish ways. And that's what the Bible highlights. It's possible to be mentally clever and morally stupid. The book of Proverbs is in the Bible because it deals with some of the major themes in the Bible and is alluded to throughout the Bible. It also provides the Christian with an arsenal for fighting against foolish living. And so, be with us, if possible, on Sunday. If not in our building here, then among our ever-increasing online congregation.